everyone. Hello, everyone. The moment of truth has, in fact, arrived. There has been a plethora of you all that have been making your request concerning my analysis of the examination of Christopher Bartrim. And I want to thank you because I have been inquiring which day of the trial that was. And as much as I watched the trial of Darrel Brooks, I'm very much surprised that I wasn't able to know that off the bat. But I thank you guys for doing the research and informing me of that. And so I will be commenting on this. I thought that was just, it was like the dynamics that were at play. You could see how Christopher was seemingly falling asleep during the questioning, and I like his quick answers when he would say, "I don't remember. I don't remember." All right, so let's go into that. I believe it's right after this.
Okay.
What is he doing?
But that general direction would have been, which street did you say?
Arlington.
Arlington. I apologize.
Such irony there. He apologizes for getting the street wrong, but he doesn't apologize for the criminality that he caused. Such dichotomy. Wow. Once again, what is he doing? Oh, Lord.
Were you aware that there was a parade going on that evening?
Yes.
Who was it?
Did you attend?
No.
Darrel, were you aware that there was a parade going on? Were you aware that it didn't make sense to drive that vehicle into those people? I mean, I said this in one of the previous videos, how he seems to ask like logical questions, but based off of what he did, we're all trying to find the logic in that. Like, where did that come from? You know, like why did you do this? I'm still grasping or grappling with that, with trying to get the understanding or the philosophy behind why he did that. You know, he comes in, makes a mockery, asking these witnesses, seemingly logical questions, but in turn he does something that doesn't have any logic or reason or sense, so to speak, to it. I don't get that part. Come on, Brooks. Come on. You're wasting a lot of time. See, this was delaying also.
After you spoke with the law enforcement officers that evening, did any more law enforcement officers come back and interview you at any time after that evening?
They did not interview me that evening. They came early the next day on the 22nd.
Oh, I'm sorry. After the 22nd, did any other law enforcement come back out to interview?
No.
And if they did, then where are you trying to go with that? Just like he asked, how many times did you see the video? I used an analogy one time. When I go and buy my food, at a Starbucks, I may order and tell them what I want. But guess what? I'm checking the bag to make sure. I'm checking to make sure that it's accurate. So maybe that video was viewed for the accuracy of them knowing across the board. All right. Even with these witnesses, he keeps, did they come back to view? So what if the police officer came back to interview them or not? What relevancy is that? How is that going toward helping you in your case? How does that act as a defense for you? As a matter of fact, what is your defense? You don't have one.
Do you recall the name of the officer that interviewed you?
No.
And I notice he asks the same line of questions. And I wish that the judge would enforce that his questions needs to be on the topic, because a lot of things that he asks is irrelevant, but for whatever reason she tends to allow him to keep going that direction. I'm assuming she's allowing him because maybe the state isn't objecting, but even though she does have the inherent authority under 90611 to control the mood and the order relative to interrogating witnesses, she does have that power, but sometimes she doesn't necessarily have to unless the state moves in with an objection. So the state hasn't objected, but I wish she would just enforce, stay on the topic. If not, this questioning is over, because there is a plethora of witnesses that he asked questions that were absolutely irrelevant, and it should have been stopped right away since it did not reflect the merits or the basis of this case. That's just my opinion. This is beyond brutal. That not only is this a waste of time, but it's going nowhere. It's going far afield. If I was the umpire in this, I would have stopped this. Look at it. He's definitely winging it. He's reading everything as he's going along.
No further questions at this
Wow.
time.
Thank you.
No cross, Your Honor. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, you notice the state didn't have a cross, so you know what that means, right? If the state did not have a cross, that means everything he asked this woman was basically, it didn't move the needle. It had no merit. It had no basis. It had no strength to oppose the state in any way. It wasn't necessary to come back on cross. So that means this was all a waste of time. Darrel knows that. All right, let's get Christopher up here. Come on, Christopher. They've been asking about you. Want me to analyze. And Darrel knows that everything that he asked that witness meant nothing if the state didn't have to. It wasn't necessary for them to come back on cross. It was just a waste of time. Nothing Darrel said in that examination warranted anything exculpatory.
Just 1 second, Your Honor.
Delay. That's what this is.
The defense calls Christopher Bartrim.
Here we go.
All right, thank you.
Come on up here, Chris. This is hilarious. The way Chris was answering, I like how his answers were just so, it was like one word answers. You ever talk to somebody and they always give you one word answers? That's an indication that they don't want to be talking to you.
I presume the state heard that and was assisting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, my assistant.
I didn't want to assume. So thank you for.
Yes. verifying that. Looks like this one's a lot closer than before, so that's good. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Bartrim. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is off to my right. It is up one riser. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand. And my clerk, Teresa, who's on my left and
We'll
across
swear
from you,
you
will
in.
swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a seat, please. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record.
My first name is Christopher, and my last name is Bartrim.
Could you spell those, please?
Christopher, Bertram.
Thank you. As long as you sit close to the table, you will not have to lean in. Go ahead, sir, your witness.
If they had Shore's microphones, we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, your witness.
Come on, Darrel.
First of all, good afternoon.
You notice how Chris didn't respond? He didn't say good afternoon. He's probably said F you. Let's get on with this.
What do you currently do for a living?
I do electrical work.
Directing your attention to
Wow.
the evening of November 21st, 2021.
The reason why I laughed like that because he asked him what did he do for a living, and he told him, and then he just jumps right to something else. So it's almost like whatever he did for a living is completely irrelevant. Like, why'd you even ask him that? You know, this is stupid. He's on another
Do you
subject
recall
now.
that evening pretty well?
Not very.
Do you recall what you were doing that evening?
Yes.
And what were you doing that evening?
Taking my mother's car to our mechanic friend.
Were you aware of a parade going on that evening?
No.
Around what time were you taking your mom's car to be inspected?
I don't recall.
It's like none of his answers are helping Darrel.
Do you recall seeing anything that caught your attention that evening?
Yes.
Can you state what that was?
A smashed up red car.
And do you recall where you saw that at?
I believe it is Prospect Court Street.
Yeah, that's where it was at.
And at the time you observed this smashed up car, as you say, did you see anyone driving it?
Yes.
And were you able to make a description? Sorry, description of who was driving it?
I believe so.
A subscription.
And what do you recall?
I don't recall what I said.
And that makes sense because that was a year ago. How's everybody going to have that kind of, precise recollection? And who wants to remember that this horrific style event, what he did?
You don't recall what you said or saw?
I don't recall what he exactly said when I gave my statement.
Exactly.
Do you recall what you saw?
No.
You made reference to giving a statement. I'm assuming that would be to law enforcement. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And did they write down? Well, let me back up. How was that interview conducted? Was that an in-person interview over the phone or?
In person.
And do you recall if the law enforcement officer was writing down what you were telling them or recording you?
I don't recall.
I love his answers. It's like one word, right to it. He doesn't remember I don't recall. This is not advancing Darrel's agenda, that's for sure. He definitely has an agenda. And it ain't working.
Did you observe the vehicle stop at any point in time?
No.
So it was pretty much you just saw it just kind of just rolling past.
Yes.
Like
Did
everybody
you
else.
notice if the vehicle had any tents?
Any what?
Tents, like tinted windows?
No.
What is he doing?
Do you recall in your interview with law enforcement? Well, let me back up a little bit. Was your interview with law enforcement the same evening that you saw this vehicle, or sometime after?
The same evening.
It's like these questions are
Do you
just-
recall stating during the interview that evening that you observed the driver as a black male with short hair and a short beard?
I don't recall exactly what I said.
I love this. It's like Brooks
Do
ain't
you
going.
recall stating at any time during that interview that evening that you believe you saw the operator of the vehicle reach down and grab something as they were driving past?
Yes.
Did you ever see them? Did you ever see what you believe was being grabbed?
No.
And what did you think at that moment that you saw the operator of this vehicle reach down?
I was unsure.
Wow. It's like all his answers are just not helping. Obviously, we know it's not helping Darrel, but it's like Darrel's asking like all these long questions, and he's answering in an abridged way. And it's like, where are we going? Darrel, this ain't working, man. You screwing up. Christopher looks uninterested being there. That's why he looked like he's falling asleep. I think he was yawning in this clip when I watched previously. But this is a prime example of Darrel on a bridge to nowhere. It's almost like he's inside of an Uber, but they found out that the tab that he paid was delinquent. So that means that they ain't getting the money. You ain't going nowhere. And so this is not going anywhere. And Christopher Bartrim ain't making it no better with his one-word answers. I love it.
Do you recall in your interview with law enforcement that evening stating that you thought it was possibly a gun?
Yes.
And where did you observe the vehicle go after it had passed you?
I turned away after it passed me.
So that means he would know.
Do you recall what the operator of the vehicle was wearing at the time that it passed you?
I do not remember.
Chris, this is wonderful.
Do you recall during your interview with law enforcement that evening stating that you thought the operator was wearing a black sweater or jacket as it drove past you?
If that is what is written.
Exactly.
Do you recall saying that?
No.
Just because here's the thing. Just because he doesn't recall saying it doesn't mean that he didn't say it. Again, this was a year ago. So that doesn't make him look bad because he don't remember, given that it was a whole entire year. So this is not going anywhere. I love his one-word answers, man. I love it. He looks uninterested.
And do you recall where your interview with law enforcement that evening took place?
Yes.
And where did it take place?
My house.
Why does it matter where it
And
took
was
place?
anyone present with you during your interview with law enforcement that evening?
Yes.
And who was that?
My mother.
And do you recall what agency your interview was conducted by?
Yes.
And would you state for the jury in the record?
The FBI.
That's how impactful this devastating tragedy was, that the FBI was present because they thought it was a terrorist attack. That's the kind of level, that's the kind of height that this was perceived to be. You know, FBI was present in this.
Do you recall stating in your interview that evening with law enforcement that you heard a lot of gunshots?
Yes.
And do you recall I think that's a little bit unfair to say.
I think you don't know what the hell you doing.
If you had to estimate
You need to sit down.
where do you think those gunshots were coming from, like vicinity wise?
It sounded from downtown.
And when you say a lot of shots, what would you describe as a lot of shots?
Like a full magazine.
Do you recall seeing the vehicle that you observed crash into anything?
No.
That don't mean the vehicle didn't crash. Where you going with this, Brooks? To a bridge to nowhere. That's where you going. His ass is going to Dodge. Where
Do you recall stating in your interview with law enforcement that evening that the vehicle appeared to slow down while traveling down Prospect Court?
Yes.
At some time after observing this vehicle, did you call 911?
Yes.
Do you recall around what time you called 911?
No.
all his answers are one words.
Do you recall shortly after seeing this vehicle texting anyone?
Yes.
Do you recall who that was?
My girlfriend.
And what did you tell her?
I don't remember.
Do you recall telling her there's a shooting?
Possibly.
Potentially. Come on. I love it. I love it. This ain't going nowhere. This ain't going nowhere. I bet you the state ain't gonna even pick up on redirect because they know it ain't going nowhere. What's the point? State ain't picking back up on this. This is stupid. Honestly, he didn't even need to be on that subpoena.
Did you see anyone else in the vehicle?
No.
Wow. Okay. All right. And come on, Darrel.
But you do recall seeing the operator wearing a black sweater.
I don't remember.
I love it. I love it. Is he yawning yet? Did he fall asleep yet? It's like he got Darrel working to ask all these questions that he just answered with one word. Like, I don't remember.
Did you observe at any time that evening seeing someone run from the vehicle?
No.
No. Yes. No. I don't remember. I don't recall. Look, there he is. He's yawning. Like, what the fuck? He putting this boy to sleep.
Do you recall why you would have gave a description that evening when initially interviewed by law enforcement?
Because I saw the person in the car.
It's like,
And how did that person look?
I don't remember.
Browns?
Oh, his answer may stand.
What was the answer?
He said, I don't recall,
he didn't
or
remember.
I don't remember.
Even though he don't remember, it doesn't matter. Irregardless of him not remembering, it doesn't matter because everybody knows across the board that the driver was in fact Darrel Brooks. All right, he's trying to pretend that he's somebody else, other than Darrel Brooks, being pro se, his own attorney. But that's Darrel Brooks. It's Darrel Brooks.
No further questions at this time.
Thank you.
See that?
Any cross?
No.
Thank you, sir.
See that?
You may step down, and you are
You,
excused.
you notice the cross didn't pick up because they knew this was a waste of time. That's why I said Christopher. It wasn't necessary for him to even be on the subpoena. This didn't help Brooks, didn't move the needle, and besides, Christopher didn't remember. He didn't recall. And Darrel know that they didn't pick up on redirect. He knows that. He know it didn't go anywhere. What are you smiling for?
All right, go ahead.
Get that smile off your face.
And when we get to the next break, I have something to discuss outside of the presence of the jury.
Yeah, what he's going to discuss is, and I seen this part, I remember watching this part, what he wants to discuss is he thinks that these witnesses are being coached. Well, now you're getting into speculation because you can't prove that. And what does that have to do with you and what you did, your actions, your behavior at that parade? So he notices that the jury, the prosecution is not picking back up on cross because it's not important. It's not necessary to. They're trying to get to the point. They're trying to get through this so that way we can reach a verdict and get this out of the way. It was already delayed for a year, and you ain't helping by delaying the trial, which is stupid questions that have no merit or basis. And asking these witnesses dumb questions that won't even warrant the state to come back on redirect. So that lets you know it wasn't going anywhere. And Darrel realizes this. So now he got a problem with that. So now he's going to accuse the state, all right, alleging that they are coaching these witnesses. How can he prove that? That is pure speculation and will be refuted. Here we go.
That pleases the court.
Do you want to do that now or after your next witness?
We can.
It
All right,
ain't
I'll
necessary.
address a legal issue, and we'll bring the jury back in when we're ready.
It ain't no legitimate legal issue because it's speculative what he's saying or what he's going to bring up.
Rise for the jury, please.
A waste of time. A waste of the court's time. He mad because the state ain't picking back up on redirect. That's because your questions didn't mean anything. That's why. They were stupid. We try and get through this crap. You want to continue to
Everyone can have a seat, and then we'll just wait for the door to close.
to make it a circus. Darrel wants to make it a circus. The state wants to get to the point by locking his ass up. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
I'm curious.
You curious that you keep asking dumb questions and you wonder why the state won't pick up on redirect? Yeah, go ahead.
Some of these, judging by the reports, how are some of these answers allowed to pass when
I don't understand what the hell he's talking
they're
about.
coming straight from reports made by the people on the stand?
What the hell is he talking about?
Very curious.
I don't understand your question.
Me
Are you-
either. Child, me too.
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
What I'm asking is, reading from the report
Uh-huh.
that the people on the stand are giving,
Uh-huh.
the report that they gave to law enforcement.
Okay.
If you're asking me whether there's a mechanism in the rules of evidence and how to establish that before the jury, the answer to that is yes. If you're asking me how you do that, I'm not going to answer that.
I didn't ask how.
He just said how.
He just
said how. He's a damn liar.
to be blunt, which I've been since the beginning of this trial.
No, to be stupid, which you've been the entirety of this trial. Come on. We got to get the facts right.
Obviously, I see the whole strategy here by the prosecution.
You see that? Look at that nasty smile. He looks evil. Even when he smiles, he looks like Satan. Satanic.
I see right through it. Don't have any
And-
cross-examination, mainly because you've already schooled
That's speculative. Shut up.
the people getting on the stand on how to answer certain
That's
things.
speculation.
Well, that is completely speculative on your part without
It's
any
obvious.
basis in law or
It's
fact.
obvious.
It's speculative.
Sir, you could ask questions that establish that. You can ask them if they've met with anyone. You haven't done that. So for you to say that right now is without basis.
Right, and it's without merit. How about that?
If you want to,
It's clear.
if you are looking to elicit what
It's clear that you a dumbass. That's what's clear. And let the church say amen.
said in the report, there is a way under the rules of evidence based upon the way the witnesses have answered to clarify that. But that requires you to call certain witnesses. I'm not going to give you any more legal advice further.
She shouldn't be giving them legal advice from the get-go, let alone further. That's on him. She should have allowed him to continue to make himself looking like an idiot, as far as who he is, because that's exactly who Darrel Brooks is, a complete idiot. Dumb. He actually took up a legal issue concern, and it's all speculative, something that he can't even prove. This is a waste of time. The point is, all the questions that he asked these witnesses were absolutely stupid, so it wasn't necessary for the state to pick back up. They're trying to get to the centrality. What is the centrality? The centrality is his conviction. They know he's guilty. They have everything on videotape. They have damning evidence against him. They have overwhelming evidence against him. They don't want a farce. That's what he's portraying, a farce. They want finality. They want to get to the point. They want a conviction, as they should.
Than that.
I don't think I have to
So
call any other witnesses that's
if
not
you're
on the
asking me to
stand.
strike their testimony based on
I
their
didn't say
perceived,
anything
then that's
about that.
all right. Then I'm going to bring the jury back out
Then
and
this
you're
is
going to
a
call your
wa-
next witness.
Right. This is a waste of time. Let's bring the jury back out and let's get on with the trial. This is stupid. This was a waste of time. This wasn't no legal issue.
So I'm
So
not
is you-
hearing a request from you at this time. You said you wanted to raise a legal issue.
He doesn't have one.
What's the legal issue?
The legal issue is how is the state allowed to coach?
Nigga, you don't know that.
You're
People getting on the
assuming they
stand.
spoke
Right.
to them and coached them.
It's obvious.
You don't
I'm
know
not
that.
stupid.
It's obvious that you drove through the parade. The jury ain't stupid. It's obvious that your name is Darrell Brooks. The jury ain't stupid. Come on, man. This is absolutely crazy. This is,
I disagree with that, sir. Again, you could ask
All of a
questions to
sudden-
lay a
All of a
foundation.
sudden,
you don't need to tell him he needs to ask questions to lay a foundation. Stop giving him pointers. Let him continue digging his grave. He wanted to be an attorney. That's on him. The judge's job is not to give pointers or help him. No. He arrogantly waived his right. Whatever hardships that he's dealing with is solely on him, no different than Judge Darrel telling him how you are prepared is solely on you. I know that's right. Ooh.
the state
these
don't got
witnesses.
all of a sudden, for the first time in trial, all of a sudden now they don't got no cross. That's clearly
The reason why they don't have any cross is because it's not necessary. You're asking the witnesses dumb ass questions. Questions without merit. That's why I'm surprised the judge allowed it to go on. It wasn't necessary for them to come back on cross. And so what? If that's their strategy not to come on cross, so what? Who are you to criticize them? Why are you leaving trying to escape the merits of what you did? Come on, man. The state ain't on trial just because they don't have no cross. So what? Maybe that's their strategy. Maybe they know you dumb as hell and it's not necessary to come back on cross.
rush to try to get through the case. Hurry up. We just gonna not.
So what?
We just gonna let these people go.
Well, this is
The reason why they want to hurry up because they don't want to see a farce. They want to get to the point. The centrality. The finality of this farcical circus that's going on, conducted by you.
argument.
Come on, man. That's.
This is argument on your part,
I
sir.
see
It
through
is pure
I just want-
commentary.
I just
It
want
is
that on
pure
record.
commentary.
I see through it.
And
It is pure commentary that did not warrant the judge to excuse the jury because of this supposed legal issue. It wasn't a legal issue. It was stupid commentary that wasn't necessary.
your
Nice try,
see-through
but I see through it.
has absolutely no basis in
And
law.
the jury,
I know.
and the jury see through your ass. That's why they all voted in less than 2 hours to put you away. Ooh, y'all got me. Ooh, I'm getting upset now.
That's what's being done.
You
Come
could
on, man.
ask
I'm-
these questions. You could
Come on,
ask
man.
these
Got the right
witnesses
one.
certain questions, and you're not.
I'm far from an idiot.
You are an idiot. You are an idiot. You are the not only are you the epitome of evil, but you are the epitome of stupidity. I think one time I made a video and coined that to be the title of the video. You are the epitome of stupidity.
They're your witnesses, sir. If you believe
So I'm gonna start asking every witness.
Man, shut up. So what? If that's their strategy, then that's their strategy. The prosecution ain't on trial. The hell what they're doing. Let's get back to what you did. That's the merits. That's the basis. You are the focal point. You are the suspect. You are the devil. And you're going down.
Up here that they seem just to mysteriously now not have any cross for.
So
have
what?
they been coached to answer the way
So
they answer?
what?
Well,
Because
you can't
I
ask
find-
that, but
I
you can
find
ask
it
them if
very
they've
funny.
met with anyone ahead of
I
their
find it
testimony
very
here
funny.
today,
I find
which
it
you've
very
done
funny.
with other witnesses.
Yeah, you've been finding it very funny even in the interrogation room. You've been cracking jokes, laughing. This whole thing is farcical. Of course you find it funny. Because you're sick. You are sick. And let me go off on the limb and say that. Let me just go off on the limb and say this. The reason why I believe that he should not have been able to represent himself, watch this, irrespective of the Constitution. I know that he's legally allowed to do that, but that doesn't mean that I agree with the Constitution. And this is a prime example of it. This is a game to him. He's finding it. What did he say? He finds this funny, amusing. We all know that because we watched the interrogation. It was a joke to him. So who was surprised when he came to court laughing, making a mockery, all the chicanery? I don't agree with the Constitution that people should be allowed to represent themselves. I'm not saying that he wasn't supposed to. I'm saying I don't agree with it. In other words, this very trial of Darrel Brooks should be an eye-opener relative to changing or altering the Constitution, that people should not be able to represent themselves because of this mockery, because of this chicanery. This was a game to him. Did y'all see when he was questioning Erica Patterson? It was a game to him. But this is serious to people that lost loved ones. He grilled these witnesses. He mocked them. This is why he should not be allowed to represent himself. This should be an eye-opener to these laws to be overhauled. Because of this, because of his mockery, the Constitution should be overhauled, in my opinion.
Witnesses.
I find it very funny that these are their reports, and now all of a sudden you can. Oh, I saw the person in the car. Oh, but
man, shut up, man, shut up.
To delay these
I don't recall what they had.
See what exactly? He is delaying the proceedings by doing this, by doing this kind of charade, this buffoonery that's happening.
Mr. Brooks,
You can
there's
recall
no
waste of
Why
time.
are you saying this right
Don't
now?
know what they had on.
Waste of time.
I'm having the jury brought out. I'm instructing you to
on,
shut the hell up.
commentary when the jury comes out, or you will
I didn't
forfeit
say-
your right to be
I didn't say
present.
nothing. You.
Man, shut up.
Do we take up potential as to a witness by the name of
Ain't
Abel
running
Lozano?
nothing.
He has prior criminal history.
Thank you.
So as long as the jury's out, we should probably discuss that. I would like to provide the defendant and the court with.
I love the way she
So
said
that had
that.
to be. That had to be said. So it's the defendant.
Now, what? All right. So is the prosecution wrong for saying the defendant? Isn't he the defendant? Who cares how she said it? The point is, you are the defendant. So what? They supposed to be in trouble for that? It's like he tries at every moment to leave the merits, the basis, the foundation of what this trial is really all about. And it is essentially about Mr. Brooks and his conduct, his misconduct.
That's not how it was said.
That was how I said. You want to run the record
Who
back?
cares?
Mr. Brooks.
Who cares how it was said? He's the defendant. And let's move on. Let's stop wasting time talking about something that has nothing to do with anything.
So I'm the only one. I got one
Mr.
one
Brooks.
ear that work, and I heard that.
This
Come on,
is
man.
to benefit you so
No,
that
it's
you
not.
understand
Ain't none of
your
this to benefit
witness
me, so let's be
has
clear
a
about
prior
that.
Now, he might be right about that. It is not, and there's nothing really there to benefit him. Now, she's there to benefit as a benefit relative to his rights, but ultimately, ain't none of that benefiting him because his ass going to jail where he belongs. That's probably the only thing that he said right in this trial. Ain't nothing to benefit him. Good. Because after what you did, there should be nothing to benefit you. We should be benefited knowing that you are away from society. That's the ultimate benefit.
record.
Your Honor, when I leave the table, I'm away from the courtroom and I have to elevate my voice. This is the
So she had to
alleged
elevate her
record
voice
of
just for
ableist.
that.
Shut up! Sue Opera really didn't even have to explain that. So what? If you said that defendant, so what? That's who he is. She didn't have to defend herself the way she said it. So what? You're not on trial, Sue Opera. This sewer rat is.
Stop talking.
Come on, man.
Yeah, shut
I
up.
don't know who y'all be thinking.
Shut
y'all
up.
is. I'll set for value, return for value this document.
One more interruption and you're going to be
You're
removed
outta
to the
here.
next courtroom.
That's what you want to do anyway.
Yeah.
It's not what I want to do. Do not interrupt Attorney Opera.
So can
Your
you
Honor,
tell
Shut up!
He has 7 prior criminal convictions via OWI 2nd from 1997, an OWI 3rd from
Oh, look at that look.
1997,
Uh-oh.
an OWI 4th
Ooh.
from
Look
2003.
at that. Ooh, look at that evil
Criminal
look.
trespass to
Look at the
dwelling
devil.
from 2006.
All right, I need to take a break. This man right now is having a stare down with
Oh.
me. It's very disrespectful. He pounded his fist. Frankly, it makes me scared.
Oh, wow.
And we're taking a break.
And he's still giving her the death stare. It's a good thing he was in shackles. He likes to say that he was in shocks. Well, guess what? I wish he was in shocks so he could shock his ass. Oh, you didn't hear me. But anyway, all right. I didn't really meant to go this far with the trial. We were supposed to be covering the Christopher Bartrim, which was interesting in and of itself. But I thought it not robbery to continue with this. Listen, this is absolutely sick. If you notice, Brooks tried to deter what was going on. He tried to accuse the state of this. Listen, it didn't matter if the state did not come back on cross. What's wrong with that? Maybe that was their strategy. What's wrong with them not wanting to come back on cross? Particularly if it wasn't necessary to do so. You know, would you do something if it's not necessary to do it? I don't do things if it ain't out of necessity. So who is Darrel to accuse the state of not coming back on cross like that's supposed to be an issue? All that does is prove that everything you asked those witnesses meant nothing. It didn't warrant a response. All the state was trying to do was to expedite the BS. Expedite his BS. Expedite his delay. And let's get to the focal point, the centrality of where we need to go so we can get through this. The families suffered enough. Enough is enough. Let's move swiftly and quickly for finality. All right? And there was nothing wrong with that. Brooks tried to make it a problem. Well, there was nothing wrong with that. His job was to delay it anyway. The state had already heard phone conversations between him and his mother. They already knew what he was trying to do. They knew his strategy. The state didn't bother to engage in that or to be a part of that. No. They wanted to move this trial along, just like Judge Darrel wanted to move the trial along, despite his protestations, despite his interruptions, despite him bringing up case law and all this. Even when Judge Darrel said, I'll look this over, but I don't believe that it's going to change what was previously ruled on. So what was the point? What was the purpose? All right, listen, please, I would like you to comment on this one. I know that you have vehemently been asking me about making my analysis on the Christopher Bartrim. And I thought his answers was just hilarious because it was like one word. And I attributed that to, I remember I was talking to somebody and I can tell that they didn't like me because they kept giving me one word responses. So that just let me know that they were uninterested. And that's the same thing that was displayed during the examination of Christopher Bartrim. He just seemed unabated, unconcerned. He didn't really want to be there. We seen him yawn. I thought that was funny. Oh wow, it was just hilarious. But anyway, make your comments on this one and like and share. Thank you for listening.